Yo, welcome back to the Stuff or Whatever podcast. Your host, BQuanchi here. Before you get started, I always like to say the best way to support me and the channel is to like, comment, and subscribe. So hit that subscribe button. I guess ring that bell. I don't know. I don't care about the bell, but all that stuff. I appreciate any attention because I'm lonely. But we have a very special podcast today, and let's get into it. So, been kind of playing around with the channel. There's been getting some growth on it. Again, it's not like I'm not sure if people will hear from me, but probably not. But maybe I should try. Maybe have a personality that I don't have. I have no idea what I'm doing. And I guess that's the secret of life is that no one really knows what they're doing. That's pretty much everyone just fumbling around, maybe like poking through food, bags of chips, whatever. Then we, eventually die. So that's, in a layman's sense, the meaning of life. I'm playing around with the idea on the channel. I don't know who really listens to these. It could be kind of just like a mental journal or therapy with a therapist who's not there. I don't know. You tell me. I would like to have more involvement, like a community thing, but it is what it is. I'm kind of playing around with the channel like I do my this, which I might take a little break from. I feel like I have more stuff to say this week, but we'll see with the Stuff or Whatever podcast. But it's a loose idea. I can talk about stuff or whatever. It's like, whatever. And I do stream gaming on Twitch and those VODs on the YouTube channel. And then I also do kind of like somewhat of a Let's Play series every Wednesday at the moment, where I just, it's been mostly indie demos, but it's a little this, a little that. So, I feel like it's more shorter form in a sense that usually I stream for a little over an hour and a half, versus a Let's Play upload might be less than 30 minutes. So it sometimes I worry about like what's too lengthy in terms of being digestible in terms of content. I don't know. Again, I don't know what I'm doing. It's full circle. I don't know what I'm doing. But one thing like I might do more often, I did put a recent video talking about like things that people think are facts but actually myths, and I kind of want to do something what I'm going to call like reacticles, or like just reacting to online articles and make like slideshows of like articles with like I have some things in mind. I just have to actually do it, but I might do more like on camera stuff, more or less. I do just have my laptop. I would maybe, if things pick up, get like a better web camera. It's a work in progress, and sometimes I feel like I'm doing maybe more than the bare minimum, and I don't know if that feels bad or not, but it is something. But just kind of playing around. Another mantra, which I haven't been spouting out too often, is it's throwing spaghetti at the walls and seeing if it sticks. So I just throw a bunch of spaghetti, sauce it with marinara, sometimes Alfredo. Big huge mess. My landlord gets mad, but that's kind of my idea with the YouTube channel. Even sometimes I feel like diversifying or like making separate YouTube channels, like, oh, this is just for the Let's Plays and this is just for the stream VODs. But if we do that, it gets spread so thin in the sense that YouTube partnership and YouTube stuff gets, not to say it's all about monetization and stuff like that. It's a nice something. Again, it's not really much in my case because I'm a small, insignificant channel and a speck of a huge universe that is YouTube. But it feels like if I made separate channels, like, oh, I'm going to dedicate this channel to that, and that it's just like I need the subscribers, I need the views just to get in the partnership program. I think it's still 1,000 subscribers minimum, and I think 4,000 hours in a rolling 12 months. I believe that's a requirement. But yeah, just kind of playing around with seeing what works, but I might have ideas for other stuff than just slapping Let's Plays or just slapping gaming VODs on the channel. There's some more commentary stuff. I mentioned that too, but there's some games I want to kind of do more of a commentary. And some reviews. Like I've been doing YouTube shorts as well to do like, oh, I want to do a quick review, or some shorts have been kind of like, hey, this is an old video I did, kind of like check it out kind of thing. So it's kind of like playing with shorts because I feel like those lately have been getting the most views. I'm not sure, just because YouTube feeds a bunch of those shorts and stuff like that, so just like a side effect. But oh well. And now I want to talk about movies, more specifically the Super Mario Brothers movie, which I saw last weekend. I really enjoyed it. I really like it. I do give it strong recommendations, but I also want to talk about like some of the, I don't know if you want to say like controversy with it or just uh it was just floating around on Twitter, like how they talk about like uh I want to say Sweet Tomatoes, but that's a restaurant chain. No, it's Rotten Tomatoes. But like people say, like, oh, the Rotten Tomatoes critic score rated kind of mid, like in the 50%, but audience scores were over 90. And basically, one thing I wanted to like get across is with my thinking is, I think movie critics are dumb. And let me kind of explain it. I don't know too much about like the process, like besides glancing at a tweet regarding a movie in Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that, is like scoffing or like that's interesting or whatever. Because that's always like a mix. You see like what official critics, quote unquote, and then actual audiences who watch the movies. Like there's so much of a divide and all that. I'm not sure like when it comes to these outlets that do like professional, quote unquote, movie reviews, if it's like always the same person or if it's like a outlet like a magazine or a website or something like that where they have like different people for like different genres of movies and stuff like that. Because if you get to review like every single movie out there, you know it's going to be inconsistent with your rating, and you're going to have your biases too. Like you watch like an animated movie versus a horror movie versus an action sci-fi versus a drama and all that. So, but yeah, I just think like overall movie critics are dumb just because a lot of times I just don't agree. It really depends. It is very because it's with the Oscars and stuff like that. That's like the big like, ooh, is this movie really good? Did it get best picture? Did it get best actor and all that? I feel like it's overrated. Sometimes I'm still curious to see like who wins or who gets nominated, but for the most part, I feel like a lot of them are just boring to me. Not to say I'm like class and sophistication with my cinema, but sometimes like some of the best nominated stuff I just like have no interest in, or if I try, I just get bored. And stuff that gets reviewed poorly, like I really like it. Like I feel like Cocaine Bear, I mentioned that a few podcasts ago, was really good, and Super Mario movie, which I want to talk about a little bit more, and just a little bit, but yeah, it just seems. But then there's sometimes there's movies that are like really critically acclaimed that I really enjoy too. It's kind of hard to think of some examples. I think I think got some noms. I'm not sure if it won much, but I remember a while back the King's Speech. Because remember, I really enjoyed that movie because I grew up with going to speech therapy a lot as a kid, and it was in public school, and it was not really much of anything. And then I saw King's Speech, and like, why couldn't that be like the experience I had with speech therapy? Because even though I talk in a microphone with the stupid podcast or stupid streams, the stupid let's plays, and all that, it's like I'm just a rambling idiot, and I can talk better. I can talk good sometimes, but yeah. Then like even like some, I know one Best Picture, La La Land, and that was like I thought it was good, but it was also one of those movies that's kind of like tailored to the Oscars or like tailored to like the whole Hollywood story and stuff like that. I gotta see. I haven't seen it yet. It's on my to watch list, but Everything Everywhere All at Once. I know that because all the accolades. I think did Parasite get Best Picture? Because I think that did. Because I think that was had like the first foreign film or something like that. Because I really like Parasite a lot too. Um, but yeah, with movie critics, it just feels weird because it's like disconnect. Like, oh, it's just like a website. Tell me this or that. And a lot of times I don't agree with. Sometimes I do. Like, I don't know. It just like to each its own when it comes to taste with movies and stuff like that. But I feel like when it comes to like movie reviews, I kind of like uh, YouTube in a sense. Like follow channels that like have similar interests. Like when it comes to like for example the Mario movie or other movies as well. Like if someone's like more like this more of an animation kind of fan or commentary or stuff like that versus like this is more a horror fan or like do commentaries on horror movies or action sci-fi. So I feel like if I have like certain creators in a sense that kind of align with what my interests are, I think that that seems better to me in a sense that like, oh, okay, I can see that point. Like they're not like, oh, this is just a child movie because it's animated, it's just for kids. Like, no, there's more to it than that. So I feel like that helps a lot. We kind of judge like if a movie's like worth seeing or not. And sometimes I just see the trailers. They're like, oh, I'm going to see this movie anyways, and all that. It's kind of fun to see like what other people think, especially if you have like similar vibes in terms of interest and stuff like that. But yeah, it's overall like I'm sure movie critics is always going to be a thing. Academy Awards are always going to be a thing. It feels kind of stupid at times, and sometimes it feels like just people like pat each other on the back and suck each other off just to get accolades and awards. I think that's the thing, like make awards so you can be like award-winning director or award-winning actor. And I think it's all like the Hollywood game, and I just says you every day Joe man whatever. It's like how much should I really care? But going back to the Super Mario Brothers movie, I really enjoyed it, and it's fun like going back to mentioning like content creators and stuff like that on YouTube that I follow. I feel like they were a slightly more harsh than me in terms of my opinions of the movie, but I feel like they kind of fall in line. Like I do really recommend it. If I were to give it a score, I would give the Super Mario Brothers movie, the recent one, again, not the old one, but the recent one from Illumination, I would actually give that an 8 out of 10. But I can see like how some people can. I'll say like a 7 out of 10 would be a fair score, and a 6 out of 10, I guess that's agreeable too. But I feel like it was really good. It did a lot of things right, and I feel like my love for it is kind of like my bias with like loving Nintendo, loving Super Mario, growing up with Super Mario and all that, the games and video games and stuff like that. I have to say, like, because I heard some of the criticisms, critiques, like, oh, it's just a kids movie, so only kids would like this. Like, that's not completely true. And then also like, oh, you have to be a Mario fan because there's so many like Nintendo Easter eggs that you have to like video games like that. And like, again, that's not entirely true. I feel like it helps. I think that's why I think it's a really good movie. But like some of the problems with like some praise, like again, it's they do like they pretty much hit the mark, but it feels like it's not like bullseye hitting the mark. Like, hey, this is Mario, so let's give you Mario. Let's give you the Mushroom Kingdom. Let's give you Bowser. So I feel like when it comes to, I guess for lack of a better word, fan service, it gives you that. So if you love Mario, you'll love the movie. If you like Mario, you'll still like the movie. And I think it's like if you just really don't like Mario, if you really don't like animated films, then it probably won't be a cup of tea. Even if you just like animated films and not really familiar with Mario, but it's one of those things like Mario's been around so long, it's almost as big as Mickey Mouse. Depending who you're asking, I think it's still worth seeing. But yeah, the visually looks really great for an Illumination film because I remember seeing like people like, oh, it's the lowest review or like one of the lowest reviews Illumination film. Like whatever. Like I think Sing and Secret Life of Pets are kind of like on the lower list of Illumination and Minion movies. I don't know. I haven't seen everything that Illumination puts out. But I was surprised to hear like a lot of the Illumination movies are pretty cheap in terms of budget. I'm like I think a lot of the budget goes to the talent in terms of voice actors, which are just like famous actors more so than just voice actors. Anyway, I really like the Mario movie. It visually looks really great for Illumination in fan service. I do have like two major critiques, and it's like ones I heard from other people as well. Like the music was really really good, but there's like some weird moments of the film that they like play like 80s music, like they play like Aha, Take on Me, they play like Holding Out for Hero, AC/DC, they played Thunderstruck. It just felt out of place. I love 80s music, but even then I kind of like took me out of the movie like, why are they playing this song? Because other parts of the movie they do play like renditions of music from the Mario franchise, all that, and some of them are really really good, so it's like, why put in these 80s music? Again, Take on Me is one of my favorite songs from the 80s, and it's like that took me back. Like I think, why even do this? Like, yeah, so I feel like some of the music choice was questionable, but for the most part pretty good. I know like I think doing the soundtrack on vinyl, but I think it's going to be like the Mario soundtrack, not just like whatever licensed songs that they threw in the movie. Another thing about the music, more so the credits, because I heard about this before seeing the movie, but they had the DK rap from Donkey Kong Country 64. I did hear that the credit was like, it was just like from Donkey Kong 64, and the composer of it, Grant Kirkhope, like tweeted that was very disappointing. And when I saw that, like it's because I of course watch all the credits because I know there's post credit scenes, but when I saw the credits with the music, it felt so out of place. Like, why did they do that? Why couldn't they give like more detailed credits, especially to the composer Grant? But it just says like Donkey Kong rap, DK rap, Donkey Kong 64. Like, why? That just seems so weird. I don't know. And I think one other common criticism I heard is the pacing of it. Like, it kind of moved too fast. It was like, and I agree with that to a point. I feel like we had some really good moments like with Bowser and with Mario and Peach and stuff like that. But I feel like they could have been a little extra room just for like story or just something for dialogue to make these characters to have some kind of connection. Because like it's like a bit like Mario like and Toad, and he's like, oh, he's not my best friend. Like, he seems like me like almost hating him or just liking him, and it's not really warranted. Because when Mario arrives in Mushroom Kingdom, like Toad's like there helping him out. He even like, oh, let's go to the castle to see the princess. She can help you out and all that. So I don't think Mario had much reason to really hate on Toad. There was a point like Toad kind of ran off ahead and kind of ditched him, and Mario was trying to figure out all the pipes and stuff like that. So I can see being annoyed by that, but it could have like give more reason to have that kind of relationship, especially when Toad seemed to be genuinely helpful and did actually help him out a lot. Even some weird moments with like Mario and Peach, like they had some moments like talking about like training and stuff like that, and like her past and how she arrived to Mushroom Kingdom. I felt like it could have been a little bit. I felt like it was a little bit better than other characters' interactions or like relationships. But I remember the point, like when they were on the way to the Donkey Kong, the Kong Kingdom, whatever, and he just seemed like, oh, there's so many galaxies out there. Like, I thought it was going to be a long conversation, but it kind of felt like awkwardly cut short and all that. So I was like, kind of been little moments, but they did have some. Even looks like Mario and Donkey Kong, which some people say, oh, they probably had the most like on-screen chemistry and stuff like that. But there's like a point where they're like kind of down in the dumps, like, oh, my dad hates me, or my daddy issues this and daddy issues that. But it's like, Donkey Kong, your dad thinks you're the strongest warrior or the strongest Kong in the kingdom, and like Mario, I wish I could explore it more, but I feel like his family, especially his father, was a little bit more worried, but they kind of like came off more like teasing him that he left his stable job to start his own business, which is really risky. So it's kind of like, it could have turned out into like a father like being concerned about the son's like success and well-being, especially with job and career, versus like, oh, that's stupid, you want to do a plumbing business, you're an idiot, kind of stuff. So they could have done that a little bit more better. But I did really like some of the scenes, like the fight with Bowser and Donkey Kong in the arena. I thought it was a lot better than I expected, but again, they didn't show much in the previews. And then there was the kind of near the climax where they are racing to say Peach, and like Donkey Kong has a power up and Mario gets power up, and like kind of like going through the Mushroom Kingdom and all that. So I thought that was cool. So I would give it an 8 out of 10, but I can see where other people coming from ranking it a little bit lower score and all that. So there's a tease that there might be a sequel, which would be really cool. I wish it would build upon it. And kind of just compared to other animated movies I'm a fan of, I would say Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. That's a 10 out of 10 for me. Like that's probably like jumped to one of my favorite movies of all time, especially animated. And compared to others, I felt like even most Disney animated films and most DreamWorks animated films seem better overall as a movie compared to the Super Mario Brothers movie, like Shrek and even like Frozen or Encanto and stuff like that. I think those are like, in a sense, better movies. But I think I still like the Mario Brothers movie more. And I think just having that Nintendo bias is doing it for me. But it varies. But we'll see how it plays out in the future. Because it's like making so much money regardless. It's like one of the most successful the most. I think it's like the most successful video game adaptation, really high grossing animated films, of course, because it's Mario and all that. So we'll see what happens. I guess one last thing, I know there was like some training tweets or headlines about the song Peaches that Jack Black sings as Bowser. Possibly can get award for best original song. I don't think it deserves it, but I really want that to happen just because it'd be so funny. It'd be so cool that it happened. But I feel like it's a simple song. It's maybe a little catchy, but it's very short and simple in comparison. I know that's article saying like it's actually getting into the Billboard charts and all stuff like that. But I feel like unless like other movies like really don't deliver when it comes to original songs, I can see that. I kind of want that, but I don't see it actually happening in terms of actually deserving it. But it's kind of my thoughts about like movie critics in the Super Mario Brothers movie. So next, this is a little talk about Elon Musk. Haven't talked about. I was gonna say I haven't talked about him in a while, but maybe I have. I lose track. But two things about the SpaceX, seeing the rocket ship that flew off. This is actually the day I recorded. It happened earlier today. But yeah, the rocket just kind of failed and exploded and stuff like that. So, wah wah. I guess it's kind of neat, but like it's like weird. Like you see, it's like when you're on Twitter or like look into like comments and stuff like that, reactions. Like it feels like so many people like sucking Elon's dick or whatever. Like, ooh, that's like best one big huge step for humanity. Like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. Even though it failed, even though it exploded, it was failure to launch. You know that, but it's a weird like pumping up. It almost feels like that had to happen. Like I wonder what would happen if it didn't. Like would it just be a rocket in space or what? I wonder how much money that cost. If that was worth it. But I guess it's just like research overall. But it's just funny that Elon Musk SpaceX program, whatever you want to call it, launched a rocket into space and everyone's clapping even though it exploded. Like it, I try to think where I heard that, but I think it's like the end game goal, which probably won't even happen. Maybe not even this lifetime. We'll have to see how things develop. You know, things can happen a lot, but I'm not sure if we're going to see the point that we can use SpaceX to travel to Mars or have like civilian travel into space. But like, if I'm like looking at like, I'm not going in a fucking rocket if it's going to explode after a few minutes after launch or whatever time it was. So it makes me really hesitant. Like, it's probably not going to be in my lifetime where I need to go into space or have that option. So like, I'll just pass. Like, waste your money. Like, you bought Twitter, and now you bought rockets that explode. So, good investments overall. And then also mentioning Twitter, as of today, it's the big purge or the Thanos snap of all the verified check marks. Like all the people who don't want to pay for Twitter Blue, but had legacy verified a long time or whatever. It is fun. Like I swear, like every person's reaction, like either being happy or glad or like not caring. Like like for example, I know it's a funny meme for a long time for like Eddie Burback. And the channel file like Saber Spark kind of had that like vibe, like good riddance kind of thing. Like I'm not gonna pay for it, but even like Jack's Films, it can go on, but it's like it just feels like I have this this collective like from creators like I don't care, like it was cool to have, but I'm not gonna pay $8 a month to have it again, especially how like Elon Musk is running Twitter. So not sure what's gonna happen with Twitter Blue. I just kind of wish it didn't like create this situation where it's like we're making Twitter a worse site if we don't have it. So it seems like more like someone's poisoning you and then giving the antidote for a price. Like today's sold it on like, oh, you can post longer videos, you can edit your tweets. I feel like that would be a good selling point. I feel like I'm repeating myself as well. But it's like if you would have, sold it this way, I think it would be more receptive versus like, oh, no, don't two-factor. Oh, no, you can't vote in polls. Nope. Oh, you can't see unverified accounts as this day. So we'll see how things played out. But it is really annoying overall. But yeah, some recent things with Twitter. And also, I want to talk about a little bit about Creator Clash 2. Not that I care too much about it. I did mention a few things. It's weird because I don't really care too much about like people competing, but like the whole Froggy Fresh situation, when I mentioned that's been done to death as well. With other people probably doing a better job at explaining it, but pretty much he got booted because he made comments, and it was like he said, they said kind of thing. Like there weren't really much correction or like addressing it. But I think he was supposed to be boxing Chris Ray Gunn. It turns out what they got to replace him. From what I've seen, I don't want to watch Creator Clash. I didn't, but just seeing trend on Twitter and all that, like people say like that fight was really mismatched. Like Chris Ray Gunn got like screwed over, got his ass kicked because how they did the matchup. And like, oh, that's great. Like it probably would have been a cooler fight with Froggy Fresh, even though I don't know the hell what these people are. And that was kind of funny, like the guy who beat up Chris Ray Gunn, like during his like victory thing. I think they like do call outs or whatever at the end, and he was dropping some N bombs, and like great. Like they had to cut him off. From what I heard, I haven't seen the content, and also like it's a kind of person who could get away with saying that. So yeah. And also like Harley Morenstein or whatever, the Epic Meal guy, he got his ass kicked, and I just feel like I used to like liked the content. Like I even remember when they had a TV show, I think on True TV or one of the channels. I even watched that, but I don't know, the guy just seems kind of like a loudmouth and kind of obnoxious and kind of and even iDubbbz got his ass kicked as well. So kind of a want, and I guess, but just because I don't know too much or I just don't care, it just feels like Creative Clash is kind of like a dick sucking, or like it's like a collective, like all these YouTube creators and stuff like that, whether they're in the audience or involved with the event, whether on in the ring or out of the ring, all that. It just feels like a bunch of people who weren't popular in high school, but they're popular now. It feels very cliquey, but I don't know these people, so I can't really say for sure. But sometimes it feels like just a bunch of popular kids being popular, kind of thing. That's kind of the vibe I get. But in the long run, it's for charity. It's for a good cause. So it's cool overall. It's actually pretty awesome if I think about it. And I guess my last real big criticism with Creator Clash is that it's about charity, but I remember I even went to the website a few times just to kind of check out the matchings and all that, but they don't put the charity that they're fighting for. I think that, everyone gets paid the same thing for charity, so it's this cool event for funsies, but everything gets charity. But that would be cool to know all the name of these charities, so maybe someone can support them down the road or look into them. Because if it's all about charity, it doesn't seem that way. Like unless you actually watch event, I don't know. But I wish, but the good thing is, if you go to the website, you can see the zodiac sign. That's way more important than charity. Knowing a creative zodiac sign versus a charity that trying to raise money for. That's really awesome. And that's my little last piece of snark for that. Last thing I want to talk about for this podcast is some kind of frustration when it comes to woke, or more so anti-woke. Okay, I know there's been some things going around. Again, one of the things that people probably can explain better or talk about it better, have a discussion better than I can. But another big thing with like Chris, the Mr. Beast's friend, was is taking hormonal replacement therapy. I'm not sure if he's transitioning. This big thing is that they say they go by any pronouns. So I'm not sure if that means transitioning or maybe being more like non-binary. But taking hormonal therapy, people are like, oh, you're trying to get kids to be trans and stuff like that. Like, shame on Mr. Beast. It just feels like ridiculous when it comes to this quote-unquote anti-woke movement and all that. Because like some people poke fun at woke, and I don't think it's as bad. I think even sometimes maybe exaggerated or played by the anti-woke, because people like think woke people are like either overly sensitive or they care more about, correcting somebody or reprimanding somebody, like, oh, you didn't use the right pronouns, how shame on you, and stuff like that. I really don't think that's much the case. I'm sure it happens, but probably not as much. I think like they maybe like mention like, okay, these are my preferred pronouns, but if someone's gonna keep ignoring that or disregarding that, I'll be a little pissed off too. But I don't feel like woke is as, I want to say as big a deal, but like as big of a nuisance in a sense. Like, and every time like there's like a remake or a reboot or something, and like they do like a gender swap or they do a race swap, like, oh, that's woke because it's not like the original. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, honestly, like, do whatever. Like, sometimes it can be like bad content, like the Velma show, but sometimes it can be just interesting, an interesting take on that. So like, shut the fuck up. If you'd like seen something like, oh, that's different, then fuck off. Like, I don't swear too much on the podcast, but that's kind of my opinion. Even like going back to Mario movies, like there was the thing, like, oh, Peach is like fighting and she's like a badass ruler or something like that. Oh, that's woke because she's not a damsel in distress. Like, f off, like whatever. Because I didn't want to mention this last thing that kind of like makes me think the anti-woke is a joke, not to make that rhyme or anything. But I saw this TikTok. How do you do like I don't know the full details, but it's pretty much like Bud Light supporting a trans, I think, creator, stuff like that. I think they like gave her like a rainbow can and stuff like that, but just showing the support. And then like this guy in Walmart is like throwing these beer cans around, like trashing stuff and all that. It's like crazy. Even like throwing like people like nearby, like recording it, and that's why it kind of went viral. But the very dumbass thing is that it was for Bush Light, not Bud Light. So he totally trashing the wrong beer. Again, it doesn't matter because like they already sold it to the store. They sold it to Walmart, so it's not like they're gonna hurt in sales. Like maybe you can argue that this vandalism is gonna discourage a store from carrying that item, but it's like, nope, you're gonna get criminal charges. You probably pay for that. Whatever they do to take you to court. And also, the guy already had a criminal charge or a criminal record because he exposed himself to a minor. So like, awesome. So it just always feels like people who are like anti-woke, it's like being jerks, being assholes, because like these people just want to fucking exist. Like they just want to be themselves, like not shoving their agenda. Like just because you see somebody in a YouTube video, seeing someone on a screen that's different, and he's saying, "Oh, that's woke," they're gonna shove that toward down my kid's throat and make my kids transgender and stuff like that. No, that doesn't happen. Like, would you not watch your kids watch Black Panther because it has black people? Like, oh, I don't want kids being black because there's black people. Or like see a woman and it's like, oh, I don't want to be a woman. Like only show them male if the boy only show them movies with males and stuff like that. It's just so ridiculous. It's so it just feels like a shame that it exists these nowadays. And I think even it still carries on. Like I feel like having that hope, like it's gonna die down. Like this bigoted hatred is just gonna die down. But I feel like it still feeds on to younger generations, even though like other positive things, like people being more compassionate, more caring, that still trickles down. But hate trickles down too. So hate's gonna just keep going. Love is gonna keep on going until I don't know. It feels like there has to be more, and it's just like a shame to see like this stuff still happening. And I don't know, again, it's not like they care about this or that. They just care about their own motivations, like if it's any personal gain at all, or just pushing their agenda. It's funny like talk about like woke, anti-woke, I should say, like pushing like transfer. It just makes me. It's sad to say, but I'm glad that I'm cisgender. I'm glad I'm a cisgender male in America, and that's sad. And I think that's a good way. I don't want to say good way, but I think that's a good stopping point for this podcast. Enough me ranting. Let me know in the comments like if anything hit a note. Yeah, and like, comment, subscribe, follow. I appreciate that as well. But just want to squeeze this in this week. Stuff to say. But I don't know, I might do more podcasts. I mean, not. It just depends. Like sometimes it just depends what's happening in the world. If I have opinions and stuff to talk about, then yeah, of course, there's going to be podcasts. But I just kind of wish there was more community. But I don't know. Anyways, y'all, if you're listening this far, thanks so much. It actually really means a lot if you listen to these words this very second. But most importantly, have a really great day. Take care. Goodbye.